And it's been too long, frankly, since we did this. Craig Mish is here. We go around the bases and touch them all today. It's time for the Daily Bases. I'll do it. Craig, great to have you back.
Yep,
you talked a little bit about your trip to the Lone Star State last week as you took in all the festivities. The American League winning the All-Star game for the 10th time in the last 11 years. Jarren Duran named the All-Star game MVP, the Home Run Derby. Teoscar Hernandez putting on a show. What was your favorite part, Craig, of your trip to Arlington in the All-Star break?
Well, the Home Run Derby is always fun. Having a swing off for the first time ever, I thought that was really cool. So that was a big part of the experience. The All-Star game itself, guys, let's be honest, it's just like any other game. Once you get to the 5th, 6th inning, you can see these guys are swinging at the first pitch every time they want to go home. But I think just, again, seeing a lot of new faces, a lot of young players, Skenes opening up the game, getting those matchups with Juan Soto and Aaron Judge, definitely a lot of fun as well. And I thought Arlington and all around Texas, I thought they did a phenomenal job just with all the festivities and the All-Star game. But I definitely think that there's going to be a lot of those players that you're going to see back again in that game next year in Atlanta.
Yeah, it was fun. It got that nice mesh of the older veterans and a lot more of that young talent infusion. And certainly we look forward to that in the next couple years. Let's take a look at maybe a talent infusion coming up in a week or so for multiple baseball teams trying to vie for Tarik Skubal. This guy's one of the best pitchers in Major League Baseball, probably if he stays in the American League, going to win the Cy Young Award. Craig, what have you been hearing maybe behind the scenes? Is it true that Skubal possibly could be on the move by the deadline?
Haven't heard one thing about this. So this is just me reading the same thing that you guys are. Now, again, I'm not in a position to say that something is true or not because I just don't know. I can't speak on it. And again, I have contacts way beyond just covering the Marlins. But this one would be an absolute stunner for me. By the way, it doesn't make any sense either. I mean, the Tigers at some point are going to have to be a little bit better than what they are right now. I don't know if it's this year. But if you look at the Tigers and their trajectory, doesn't it feel a lot like the Pirates' trajectory? And you feel like the Pirates have a guy like Skenes, and Detroit has a guy like Skubal. Yes, he's got a couple of years under his belt, so he doesn't have that complete team control like Skenes does. But if the Tigers are going to compete as soon as next year with A.J. Hinch, who's won World Series with Houston, isn't he the guy that's going to front that rotation? Guys, this makes no sense to me whatsoever. So, again, if it happens, it happens. Several years ago, I couldn't have seen Juan Soto traded. And since that has happened, I'm never going to say that anything's 100% or even 99%. But I would be shocked if Detroit traded arguably one of the best pitchers in the American League, who, by the way, is not a free agent next year. Doesn't make sense to me.
Completely agree, Craig. He should be the face of the franchise in the Motor City. He should be the ace of the staff for this year, next year, and many, many years to come. 11-3 now with a 2.34 ERA and minus 140, the updated number to win the American League Cy Young Award. That was Craig's preseason prediction of who would win the AL Cy Young. Other pitching news, James Paxton, the veteran lefty for the Dodgers, DFA'd yesterday, meaning he was released. An interesting stat line this year for Paxton, 8-2. So when he was on the bump, the Dodgers, who were one of the best teams in baseball, would win games, but an ERA above 4. What does DFAing Paxton mean? Does it mean the Dodgers are opening up some spots on the roster to add in some familiar faces?
Yeah, well, they could have done that next week, so there was really no need to do it now if that was the case. I think they just simply looked at it, and I guess a lot of the advanced metrics came out once he was DFA'd that showed that he's been one of the luckiest pitchers in baseball this season. They have scored a lot of runs for him, and he's stranded a lot of runners, which generally means you're lucky in baseball. Now, Paxton will latch on with another team. He is nowhere near the pitcher that he used to be, as the strikeout numbers would indicate. I don't believe his career is over, but I think the Dodgers simply wanted more swing and miss in that rotation. So whether they add someone or not, I think it's sort of irrelevant. They're just kind of selling high on, if you can say that, even on Paxton's season.
Subway Series tonight starts. Luis Gil had a little bit of a rough road there, but back-to-back really quality starts here as he takes the mound tonight. Yankees look like they're going to be buyers at the deadline. The Mets, Craig, will they be buyers also? They're going to help this team out a little bit.
Hey, look, I would think that the Mets will push a little bit. I don't see why they wouldn't. Last year they were sellers. I don't know that they'll necessarily be buyers. I think the one thing, guys, that the Cubs did yesterday is set the tone for the deadline. And I think there are some other teams, guys, that may follow suit with the Cubs and say, hey, look, Cubs, big market team that can spend endlessly, choosing not to do it, choosing not to go in, few games under, will be them too. Hate to see that, but I think that's what we're setting up for here at the deadline. A lot of holders at the deadline as opposed to buyers and sellers.
That's what you hate to see. You want some buyers, you want some sellers. You don't want holders. We want some activity. We want Craig Mish pulling out his phone when he's here for the daily basis next Tuesday as he gets breaking news live. And then Donnie can say sources of sources. That's all we have ever wanted. Craig Mish, thank you so much. We'll talk to you tomorrow. More around the MLB Diamond. A full slate on this Tuesday around Major League Baseball, a historic day. Anytime Paul Skenes gets a start. It is Skenes Day number 12 in the history of MLB. That's XII. Today in Pittsburgh as the Buccos get ready to host the St. Louis Cardinals. Pittsburgh did win the opener of this midweek set against their divisional foe yesterday. The Pirates are playing really good baseball at the moment. Winners of 8 of their last 10, 2 games above 500, only a half game out of a wild card spot in the NL. And anytime Skenes is on the bump, they're a hefty home favorite at -180. Will Paul Skenes deliver yet another win for Pittsburgh today against the Redbirds?
I think he will. Do I want to bet the -172? Not necessarily, but Skenes has a 60 xFIP minus and an ERA of 1.76 over the past 60 days. That is crazy good. You take a look at Lance Lynn. He's not a bad pitcher. If you look at his 60-day numbers, a 102 xFIP minus, a higher ERA of 5.20, but that really tells you that he might be getting a little bit more unlucky. But having said that, Lance Lynn over the past 30 days, 90 batters that he's faced in total, 43 of those are lefties. How about this? An ISO of 286 and a weighted on base percentage of 372. Estimated lineup tonight here for the Pirates. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 estimated left-handed batters if we include switch hitters, so that might be an advantage. Pittsburgh should win this baseball game, but I do think Lance Lynn will be okay because this game is in Pittsburgh, a true pitcher's ballpark. So I look at that 7.5 and say, this game is probably like a 4-1, 4-2, 4-3 type game. So I think it stays under the 7.5. I do think Pittsburgh wins. I just don't know if I want to take that 172 price point. That's all.
The Pirates have won 8 of the 11 starts overall for Paul Skenes. His record 6-0 with a 1.90 ERA. It would be the lowest in baseball, yet he has not met the innings requirement, as you might expect, for a rookie making his 12th start. We saw Paul Skenes start last Tuesday for the National League at the All-Star game. 7.5 is the K prop for Skenes today, and the over has a bit of plus money at plus 102. He's at 8 Ks or more in 7 of his previous 8 starts. Normally, 7.5 has remained the K prop, but the over has started to have the juice, even bumping the K prop up to 8.5. I do find that to be a little bit intriguing today inside PNC Park. The Pittsburgh Pirates won their weekend set against the Philadelphia Phillies, their in-state foe. The Phils struggling a little bit on either side of the break. They've dropped 5 of their last 7, but Zack Wheeler, their ace, gets the start today in Minneapolis. Will the Phils bounce back after losing 7-2 to the Twins yesterday in the opener?
Do I know if Zack Wheeler's back is 100%? And he probably wouldn't be pitching if it wasn't. So I do trust that the Phillies in that 162 price should be valid today. And also keep in mind, we just talked about Paul Skenes, and you bring up that strikeout prop, which is the same thing we can bring over to Zack Wheeler as well. Usually pitchers are pitching on every 4th to 5th day here, and maybe 6 days if you take a look at that rotation in Atlanta. But you're giving some really powerful pitchers an extra week to a week and a half off. Keep in mind, Paul Skenes didn't pitch a couple days before the break, goes into the All-Star break, throws 1 inning in an All-Star game, then has another week off until he pitches tonight. He should be extra gassed up, which that's what I expect for Zack Wheeler. Zack Wheeler's actually supposed to pitch the Sunday before the All-Star break, but they wanted to give him a little bit extra time off. So his fastball should be touching high 90s in this game. There should be a bounce-back performance, but then again, you see that price point there on the screen of 162. Yeah, the Phillies should win that game. probably will go over the total, but at the same time is you would be upset in like the fourth inning, like, hey, well, we're only an 80 pitch count or 85 pitch count. You're going to pull him out because you don't want to do any more damage to the back if it's still a little bit sore. Those are the tough things to bet into. But in a perfect vacuum here, where we don't have to worry about Zack Wheeler's back, I should say, the Phillies should win this game going away against Woods Richardson.
The age-old rest versus rust debate.
Yeah.
Will they be a little bit rusty? Will they take it a little bit slow after the break? Or are they coming out firing away? Chris Sale gets the start today for Atlanta. He is the NL Cy Young favorite in front of Wheeler, who is in front of Skenes. Great starters on the bump all across MLB today. The Braves are a minus 235 favorite against the Reds since he got the victory in the opener of this set yesterday against Reynaldo Lopez. Atlanta a hefty favorite. Will they make good on that ticket?
79 degrees, light wind blowing out to left field. You see that 7.5 number last year. This might have been 9.5 because we know those Atlanta bats certainly would come to play against a pitcher that isn't of, let's just say, dominant ilk, which Nick Martinez technically isn't. But Martinez hasn't been bad this year, but that's not really the handicap. It's just the Atlanta Braves lineup. Like if you say tonight, hey, the Braves are going to score 3 runs, I don't know if I want to back Chris Sale at that price. And even if I think he is going to be very good, I told you yesterday, just take the Reds here against another really good pitcher in Lopez because I don't think the Braves can hit. Same thing goes tonight. Why not just take the dog price on the Reds and say, how many runs can the Braves score?
7.5 as well for Atlanta, the highest under percentage in MLB. More TEL next. For the final time this year, at least in the regular season, more than likely not in October, the Subway Series. This week, a 2-game set. It starts tonight in the Bronx. The Mets actually won both of the games against their in-city rival back in June at Citi Field. Today, the Subway Series begins in the Bronx. The Yankees a favorite at home today, and as I try to find the price for this Subway Series, the Yankees a slight favorite to win the set overall, plus 164. A tie, that's a split of the 2-game set, is minus 102. The Mets enter the series at plus 440. Both teams ended out an extended weekend series in a 4-game set yesterday, both with a victory. The Mets on the road in South Beach over the Marlins. The Yankees at home yesterday. Some day baseball against the Rays, both splitting that 4-game set. Our guy, Luis, don't call him, Heel on the bump today, minus 162. The Pinstripes a home favorite against the New York Mets.
Yeah, I liked what I saw to Luis Gil over the past 2 starts here, maybe bouncing back to that form that he started the season with. But if we do take the 60-day statistics in totality between both of these pitchers, Jose Quintana's got a 105 xFIP minus, and you take a look at Luis Gil, a 106 xFIP minus. Both of those guys just above that average threshold here. But also, sometimes it comes down to the matchups here. Quintana's going to come here with 98 batters faced over the past 30 days. An ISO power number combined of 195 and a weighted on base percentage of 295. The one thing that he's done extremely well is dominate left-handed batters. On the lineup today, the only lefty that's going to be in there is Juan Soto, who actually has very good statistics with lefty on lefty. If you take a look at Quintana, he's got an elevated ISO power number against right-handed batters, but a good weighted on base percentage. Here's the issue. Take a look at this lineup. We talked about it yesterday. Boy, until that game started against the Rays, where they actually had a very good offensive outing, put up 9 runs, like, where's the offense been? Because it's felt like, Ben, it's just Soto and it's just Aaron Judge. And quite frankly, against left-handed pitching over the past 30 days, it's just Soto and it's just Aaron Judge. Everybody else has been brutal besides those 2 guys. Flip it over to the New York Mets here and see how they match up against Luis Gil. If we're just looking at the past 30 days, he was a right-handed pitcher. Left-handed batters have gotten the best of him here. 2 guys with great numbers at the top of the lineup that will be lefties today. That's Francisco Lindor and Brandon Nimmo. You also take a look at a little bit later in that lineup, Jeff McNeil. So obviously the batting optics look better on a Mets side here. So I'm actually going to look at this and say, boy, I'd love to go with an over, but I just think it screams under, to be honest. Even though it's a hitter's ballpark, those Yankee numbers don't look great against lefties, and I'll ride that.
9 is the total. Some storms in the greater New York City area expected all day long. Again, Luis Gil, you saw the numbers there. 3.17 ERA, a 10-5 record, plus 240 to win the American League Rookie of the Year award. Second best behind the Rangers' Wyatt Langford, who delivered the walk-off RBI winner for Texas yesterday. When Luis was known by a different name in his first 14 starts of the year, 9-1 mark .203 ERA, and the Yankees had won 12 of those first 14 starts. Then he allowed 16 earned runs in his next 3 starts. Now in his last 2, as Donnie mentioned, better as of late. Just a single earned run in each, 12 2/3 in those 2 starts in that span. A divisional duel getting started this week in Toronto between the Rays and the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays 9 games below 500 in this next week ahead of the trade deadline. What does Toronto do? Tampa, even 500 after 100 games this year, 50-50. The numbers for today, the Blue Jays, a home favorite with Jose Barrios on the bump, the over-under, 8.5. What do you like in the 6?
Yeah, look at Barrios, and you take a look at the last 30 days, 101 batters. He's basically average, 153 ISO power number against, 334 weighted on base percentage. But if you take a look at that 60-day scope and add in some analytics here for Barrios, he's got a 119 xFIP minus. How about this, an ERA of 5.06 and an xFIP number of 4.85? That's not good enough to get the job done, but he does get a bit of a reprieve because you look at that look at the Tampa Bay Rays lineup and say to yourself, it isn't all that great. Outside of what? Brandon Lau at a 304 ISO and a weighted on base percentage of 393, and Palacios in that leadoff hole at 363. There's not a lot to love in that anticipated lineup today. If you do look at Toronto's side, going up against Tyler Alexander on the season, he's got terrible numbers, but over the past 30 days, he doesn't have any numbers. So coming back into Major League Baseball right now, if we're looking at some of those guys, George Springer, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. have positive numbers, but on the whole, the past 30 days haven't treated that lineup kindly against left-handed pitching. But if I'm looking at Barrios struggling here and Alexander not a great pitcher in a smaller ballpark like Toronto as opposed to playing in the Trop, you might just want to lean on the total in this game, even though I'm not in love with it outside of a couple guys on each one of these rosters.
The Cubbies were an underdog yesterday in Wrigley in the opener against the Milwaukee Brewers. Chicago wins 3-1, low-scoring affair. Total today, 8.5, with our central focus inside the friendly confines once again. Chicago, an ever-so-slight favorite at -110, but -106 on the other side for the Brewers. A virtual pick'em. Who gets the victory at Wrigley?
Yeah, you're taking a look at probably the better pitcher in this game is going to be Jameson Taillon, coming in on the card today at a 96 xFIP minus over the past 30 days, a 3.58 ERA, and also a very manageable xFIP number of 3.86. He's going up against some hitters that have done well against right-handed pitching, but not by a lot in that Brewers lineup. Christian Yelich has solid numbers along with Jackson Chourio, but everybody else really leaves a lot to be desired. So you might have a pretty good pitching performance today on deck for Taillon. If we flip it over to the Chicago side, Colin Ray, dominant over the past 30 days. Take a look at this, an 0.92 ISO and a weighted on base percentage of 275. If you look in that lineup today, first 5 batters do have elevated weighted on base percentages. Horner, Bush, Suzuki, Happ, and Morel. Outside of that, Talkman, Swanson, Nito, Crow Armstrong, not very good. But I am going to ride this out. I think Taillon's better than Ray is. I'll go with the Chicago Cubs. Now, here's the tough part about this too, Ben. You saw from their leadership group, I should say, right? General manager, front office, they're going to be sellers at the deadline. How motivated is this Chicago team when they're checking their phones every 30 minutes with their agent if I got traded or not? Buyer beware on the Chicago Cubs.
Milwaukee, a 5-game lead over St. Louis, 6 ahead of Pittsburgh, but Chicago 9 games back and 4 games below 500. We've got the in-city rivalry between the New York teams, the Mets and the Yankees. We've got a 4-game set this week between the in-state foes in California. That's the Dodgers and the Giants. L.A. taking the opener yesterday, 3-2. All 3 RBIs off the bat of Teoscar Hernandez. Landon Knack gets the start today at -142. The Dodgers a home favorite. River Ryan yesterday, Landon Knack from Johnson City, Tennessee. Donnie Rightside, have fun on the money line. We'll see you tomorrow.